Hello and welcome to another jarring episode of the Hellion Rebellion Rock and Roll Association, brought to you by Holly Geist. I've got a strange one for you tonight, but before we get started, we have a rock and roll brethren that has passed in the last week, and we need to recognize their passings with moments of silence. The first one goes out to Abdul Duke Fakir. He is the last original member of Motown Legends, the Four Tops. And secondly, we also have, and I wrote this one down because I'm going to butcher this guy's name. We have Syriaco Quezada. Syriaco Quezada. But he was known as Pinchy Peach from Latino hardcore band Brujeria, which to this day I don't know if Brujeria is from Mexico or if they're from LA. You always hear two different stories as to where this band comes from. But we lost Pinchy Peach. He was the original singer and the only member of that band to never wear a mask. Because if you know anything about them, they all wear bandanas or ski masks or that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and give moments of silence to Duke Fakir and Pinchy Peach. Okay. May Duke Fakir and Pinchy Peach find a vergence in the force of heaven, and maybe the hardcore can hook up with the doo wop and the soul, and maybe they can create soulcore and sprinkle some of that Zeitgeist down upon us mere mortals, so we can pick up on the good times that they are having in the afterworld. All right, tonight I have a strange one for you. And that individual is known as Daniel Johnston. Daniel Johnston would get started making his brand of music in the early 80s, specifically 1983, which is where this comes from. Um, he was born in Sacramento, California. He would move to Waller, Texas, eventually move into Austin, Texas, where he would start working at a McDonald's. This guy was considered really bipolar. He's had mental health issues his entire life. To the point by the 1990s, I think he was diagnosed as schizophrenic, and he was probably somewhere on the spectrum as far as autism goes. He so when he moved to Austin, Texas, he would make these tapes, and while he was working at the McDonald's, if he kind of liked you or something, he would just hand out tapes, or you'd come through the drive-through, there'd be a tape in your lunch or whatever, and it would be these tapes. He made a lot of these tapes. Um, by the early 90s, he had become sort of a local legend in the city of Austin, Texas. And a lot of record execs kind of found out about this guy and some of his songs and songwriting abilities. And one of those executives bought a T-shirt from Daniel Johnston and gave it to Kurt Cobain from Nirvana, which he wore on an interview, some MTV interview or something, and that's really what blew Daniel Johnston out of the water, kind of made him almost a national name in the world of early 90s alternative music. Because if Kurt Cobain's wearing the T-shirt, we need to find out who this person is. Of course, Nirvana would they would sing the praises of Daniel Johnston. They were absolute fans of this individual. That's when he would actually start going into a studio and making quote unquote professional records. He would end up being invited to New York City, where he would play a lot of shows with Sonic Youth at the time. I think New York City was a bit much for him. I think he jumped out of a window or something and he couldn't handle it. He would end up in some kind of mental institution, which he had gone in and out of mental institutions his entire life. There's a great documentary called The Devil and Daniel Johnston, if you want to know more about this guy. And it really goes into his it's a 50-50 thing between his musical career and his mental prowess. It's an inspiring documentary, and it's also very heartbreaking. He was an individual who surrounded himself with noise. His room, if anything that can make noise, had to be turned on. If there was a toy fire engine in the room, it had to be turned on, and all this noise, he would surround himself with noise constantly. What else do I have to say about Daniel Johnston? Well, let's go back to this tape. So, these tapes, I got this tape from one of my mysterious subscribers, the man known as Clyde. I've mentioned him before. He sends me things once in a while, and he sent me this. He bought this at Love Wheel Records in Austin, Texas, and it's one of the few places left where you can still find these. Now, these are still licensed, and they're still I don't know how to say it, manufactured, I guess. But the recording hasn't changed. It's very lo-fi. You can tell it's been recorded on a boombox or a tape recorder or something like that. The only thing that's really different is that the images are printed out. You got the barcode. You got BMG down here, so there are ownership things going on with these tapes. But if you don't have all this down here and this is all hand done, you have an original version of this. But they still make them the way Daniel Johnston made them, with these plastic cases, the picture glued here, the songs glued here. This is actually his art. This is the way he wrote the song titles. So they've never really changed the way he made these things. Again, he was sort of a phenom in the 1990s, kind of in the way like Wesley Willis from Chicago was doing the same thing, and he was schizophrenic, writing 300 songs a day. I'm at a loss for words. I'm really not a Daniel Johnston historian, but definitely check out the documentary The Devil and Daniel Johnston. Check out some of his music. He does have great music. And without further ado, let's check out Mr. Daniel Johnston.
Much like singing, can't see what for. And there ain't no comfort in this life anymore. All that I can see that's ahead of me looks like such a chore. Maybe something will happen to make it all better. Maybe something will come along and make me happy. There ain't no fun in living anymore. And I don't feel much like living, can't see what for. There ain't no life left in me, I feel a bit funny, like a go-oh-oh, with nowhere to go-oh. My hope has gone and left me a desperate man. There's no spunk left in me, I feel so hollow in me, so empty, so empty, so empty, so empty. A big chunk of what I was has gone and left me a desperate man. Now I'm a desperate man. I'm lonely, scared, sad, sorry man. And I just can't see no color in the sky anymore. There's color there, I'm sure, but it ain't mine, and it made me blind. A desperate man, desperate, I'm a desperate man.
So there you go, Desperate Man Blues by Daniel Johnston. And you can't tell me that doesn't sound like the original Delta Blues from 1929. That's crazy how he just taps into that. Um, it's a tragic story. Again, it's also kind of inspiring that he had the oomph to really push his music the way he did, and he's a great musical character to find out more about. He's still considered a local legend in the city of Austin, Texas, and he is a. I mean, every song is a little bit different. Some of it has an alternative rock sound. A lot of it is very bluesy like that. Um, I enjoy it. Once in a while, I do listen to that. So thank you, Clyde, for the this great cassette tape that you sent me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Peace.